Jerry, what's the meaning and the feeling of being able to not only know that you're going to be in the playoffs, but to do it with 3 weeks left to go in the season, knowing that you still have your major goals in front of you to accomplish for the rest of this season?
Well, I think you've nailed it. We've got to get better, and we can get better. We've uniquely have found ourselves with additional players. We're normally this time of year you're dealing with attrition, and but in fact we're dealing with addition. And we've got players, for instance, that we'll have Osa back out here this week that we didn't have last week. We're still dealing with this COVID issue, which is nothing to not be serious about relative to availability of players. But still, our player availability, our top quality player availability is the best I've ever seen it at this time of year. We've had the opportunity to play these young players, not only all the way through training camp, but through the regular season. And so we're a team that can get better over these next 3-4 weeks, and we will. We will not let off the pedal.
Jerry, it's Chris. I haven't talked to you since the pandemic because of all these different scheduling things. It's good to hear you, man. How you been?
Chris, you've made my Christmas. You really have.
Hey,
I'm scared to ask. I'm scared to ask about where's Chris. I'm afraid for that.
Man, we're going to have some fun this weekend. I know one thing. I woke up this morning finding out the Cowboys clinched that division. You know, I had to go, ooh-wee. I had to go there. I had to start it off right.
Ooh-wee.
I'm telling you. I am telling you. So you mentioned the defense. By the way, defense has basically won the last 3 games because they've been so dominant these last 3 games. You're 3-0 in December. Again, everybody says you got to win in December to be rolling into the playoffs. And there's another adage that's come out. Defense travels. Can you talk about how it's great to have a defense that's this deep? I don't think it's been this deep since the 90s when Jimmy and Barry was coaching the team. We got guys you can rotate in and out, and it travels because defense plays in all kinds of weather.
Well, first of all, you're right on that rotation. We haven't had that rotation ever like we had it in the early 90s, and that means you can keep them fresh. And you don't lose that much when another player comes in because you've got good depth. And that actually could be the strength of this team as we go forward here, is that ability to rotate quality players in and out. It's a big difference in having to take 20, 22 snaps a game, especially pass rushing, than having to do 30, 35 pass rushes a game. All the difference in the world. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be fresh. We're going to be keep these guys fresh, and and play this thing. We've got a big game coming up here this weekend. A lot of people say, "Well, my goodness, you clinched the playoff." No, it's a big game. We want to walk out here and we want to win every series. We want to win the series. We want to win the down. We want to win the quarter. That's the way we can play, and really we got that way on both sides of the ball. It's not just the defense. I know that's what you're addressing, but on both sides of the ball. And we've ended up here with some depth in our offensive line, and that's because we had to play them early and we had to deal with a few early injuries. And so all of this should serve us well.
I hear you, man. In fact, I think what they're looking for is another Atlanta game. They've proven that they can do it on all sides of the ball, and with coaching, they've proven this squad can do this thing. They just need to keep setting it up and keep it rolling all the way through the playoffs.
We've got to throw and catch. We've got to get out here. When they limit us in our run game, which defenses can, when they limit in that run game, you got to make them pay. And you got to make them pay. If that's what they're going to do is put a lid on you and you're going short, crossing routes, some of that shorter stuff, boy, you got to be accurate and catch the ball and run the right route. And it's one thing about football, it's a multifaceted deal, but that little shot right there, throw and catch that ball, throw and catch it if they want to keep us short, throw and catch it short. But let's get out of here and execute.
I like that. Make them pay.
Jerry, two things on the offense. First, we'll start with this. Does this offense, in your mind, need to make a statement over the final 3 weeks to remind us of what we saw during the first 6 weeks of this season?
Well, I think that you always want your offensive line to really be the makeup or the attitude of your team. It's a reflection on it. I've always believed that. And so you want that nasty and you want it physical. And to the extent that we can be that, by the way, the run game lets you manifest that more than the passing game. The passing game is protection, so passive. But, boy, in that run game now, you can come out after them. And that's what you'd like to do, is be very physical, very aggressive as we have these next 3 ball games. Washington's going to give us one heck of a chance to do that. They're a physical team up front. They'll have a few more guys back than we had when we played them up there in Washington 2 weeks ago. This is an important game for us, and it's as big a deal. It's almost like an opening day for us.
And with respect to the offense, and specifically speaking to Dak Prescott, what do you want to see from Dak Prescott over these final 3 weeks to get back to the form that we saw during the first 6-7 weeks of the season that will give this team the kind of confidence offensively that you'll want to see during the rest of the regular season into the playoffs?
Well, actually, if you'll take out a couple of plays, the play that he made that we had the turnover. See, that's uncharacteristic of Dak, as we all realize. And they're against Washington 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. In our last ball game in New York, we had an uncharacteristic turnover situation. Dak actually, I thought, played a real good game against the Giants, but he had that fumble turnover. But he'll be the first to tell you this. His mother used to remind him no turnovers. So he's everything we talk about. He's there in spades thinking about it way ahead of time. And he's trying to go downfield. He wants to make the big play to back them off of us, have them take the lid off of us, have them have to cover deep. So he's trying to make a big downfield play on that play. And I understand that. And so a lot going on out there, but he can handle it.
Hey, Jerry, the team is 10-4. They're rolling, second place in the playoff standings. We want to try to win out and see if we can make some noise in the playoffs. And there's a lot of Cowboy fans very excited right about now. I think it might be time to refresh the memory of some of the fans who are a little bit jaded, or the ones that, they're either scared to get on the bandwagon or don't believe in the bandwagon yet. There's some fans, as you know, that think, well, Jerry's been on the team all these years, and he won those 3 Super Bowls back in the day, and he's comfortable. Jerry, you told me something years ago, and I'll never forget it, and I think you might want to refresh a lot of people's memories. You told me for anybody to think you might be comfortable and that you're just happy that the franchise is successful, that you may not care about a Super Bowl that much, you told me it's something about kerosene. It's like pouring kerosene on a fire. What would it be like around here for those who weren't around, or who those weren't born yet, when the Cowboys win a Super Bowl and the ripple effect? Because you said it's so strong. I'll never forget it. That's why I said Jerry ain't satisfied.
Well, first of all, you're right. There's no satisfaction here until we get us a Super Bowl win. But a lot of people think it's about financial. That's where I get up in the morning and go to bed at night. Well, I gave every dollar for all practical purposes I had to get to be a Dallas Cowboy. And it wasn't back then a given that it was going to be successful. But I did it because I wanted to be right in the spot like we're in right now. This is where it all happens for me. It's a chance to win the championship. Now, one of the things I know is it's because it's the Cowboys. It's like having a room full of lighter fluid. Picture a full room, and you had about a half inch of lighter fluid all over that room. What would happen if you stood outside the door and pitched that match in there? It'd blow that thing up. It'd blow that thing up sky high. That's your Dallas Cowboys. We're sitting here. We're always sitting here. We've got kind of interest in us. A lot of people want us to go down. A lot of people want us to stay up and keep up. But the interest is there. And so when this thing does hit, and hits at a high level, then it goes higher and farther than you can ever imagine. That's been my experience. I've always underestimated, but it sure can happen. I had a recent occasion. Toby Keith was playing golf with Clint Eastwood, and Clint Eastwood was doing the movie The Mule, where he went across the country carrying drugs in the movie. Clint Eastwood. Well, Clint had to leave a golf tournament that he and Toby were playing in Tennessee and go back and go to work. And Toby said, why in the world would you go to work? You don't need to work. You got all the money in the world. And old Clint looked over at him and said, Toby, I ain't going to let the old man in. I will not let that old man in. I'm going to work. Well, at the end of that Mule, Toby Keith wrote the song, Don't Let the Old Man In. Well, there's a whole bunch of that, too. He ain't coming in.
Exactly right. Competitive, man. In fact,
got to get that championship.
Got to get that championship. People think, oh, Jerry just wants to sell Zeke and Dak jerseys. Man, if you win the Super Bowl, you'll be selling Brian Anger jerseys, Greg DeLeg jerseys, backup linebacker jerseys. Everybody wins.
For a long time, it has long been past needing to sell a jersey.
Exactly.
Jerry
what
Jones.
I'm interested in is what goes with that.
That's right.